Projector. Sound కూడా వస్తుంది డైరెక్ట్ ప్లే చేస్తే వస్తుంది ల్యాప్టాప్.
Hello, good afternoon everybody. I welcome all the freshers. Yesterday we have initiated Diksha. Aram ho gaya, but we have to be there for 2 more sessions, etc., etc. And today we will be just enjoying the talk by Dr. J. Lalita Madam. She is a faculty assistant professor in our IASC Department of Education OU. She is not only a teacher but an artist also. That's what you are going to just observe and enjoy. And I welcome Dr. Sunita Madam also of the same institute. She is also very active and I think creative artist she is also. And our students also I welcome. And today's topic is creative arts and culture. As far as culture is concerned, everybody is maybe know very well, but when things come, if we want to define culture, it is very difficult. What is culture according to you? Culture is a cultivation of good habits, a refinement of manners, the conduct, our character, etc., etc. Whatever we think, whatever we say, whatever we do, everything, our personality, total personality, what we are. Actually, simply, the definition, simple definition we can derive from our experience is culture means what we are. And there is a confusion as well. Another term is concerned civilization. So there is a difference. People are not clear what is culture and what is civilization. Culture is what we are and civilization what we use. In the modern days we are using so many modern gadgets, etc., etc. That speaks of our civilization but not our culture. Culture is very personalistic and individualistic. The seeds of culture will be sowed at home. They will be growing in the society where we just deal with our friends, peers, and where we grow, and they will be refined in the formal institutions like schools, colleges, universities, etc., etc. So these institutes of learning, higher learning especially, they are also just meant to, as per UGC guidelines, they have to take care of all aspects as far as the all-round development of each individual is concerned. That's why enculturation, that is the need of the hour. And we are foregoing our cultural traits, our traditions, values, etc., etc. in the modern days in the name of civilization. So we give importance to civilization at the cost of culture. Where culture is, that has to be preserved forever. As Dr. Radhakrishnan said, it is the fragrance of the soul. Fragrance of the soul. Has anybody experienced soul, seen, observed, have the vision of soul? Nobody. But we have enjoyed the fragrance. It's a great, impact on human personality. That's why we have experienced. That is a fragrance. That's what culture makes a man. Maybe civilization makes the modern man with the gadgets, etc., etc., or machine it might have made, but no way the machine will replace the man and the teacher also. That's why you have to give due importance and more importance to culture. And in the institutes of higher learning, that is the need of the hour. That's why UGC also has observed this need, and they have asked us to have induction and one particular session on these fine arts and the importance of culture, Indian culture. And Radhakrishnan said that he has defined culture into four, concepts. One is receptiveness to beauty, intellectual alertness, humane feeling, social enthusiasm. I repeat, intellectual alertness. What do you mean by intellectual alertness? There is also certain confusion as far as intelligence and intellectuality is concerned. Intelligence is just a reasoning. What is what and what is not. Logic we can use and we can get the answer as far as intelligence is concerned. Intellectuality or intellect is nothing but the capacity to control our emotions. And people in the modern days, they are not able to control their emotions for simple reasons, petty causes. They will be losing their lives. That's what they are not. They are highly educated as far as their performance exam is concerned, utmost. So extraordinary. But at personal level, they are weak because they are not intellectually alert. Intellectual alertness, capacity to control our emotions. That is the need of the hour. And we are not giving importance to these things as far as in the name of modernization or civilization, whatever we call it. But the negative effects are adverse effects are dominating the human personality, especially the new generation. The future India is in as a youth. Youth have to be made and they have to be trained as far as their emotions are concerned, their intellectuality is concerned, their intelligence is concerned. All those things, they should be taking place directly, indirectly in the form of orientation or teaching or education, what we call it. Next one is receptiveness to beauty. What is receptiveness to beauty? One has to appreciate beauty. When we are able to appreciate beauty, when our mind is very clean, pious, sacred, etc., etc. That is called aesthetics, aesthetic sensibility. That is also we are not utilizing, we are not mindful as far as our natural aesthetic sensibility is concerned. So that's why that paper also we have also introduced at our B.Ed level, aesthetic education as such, to just inculcate and more talk, more orientation, not only theory but practicum also. We will be conducting exhibition and art and crafts, etc., so that the students' intellectual the aesthetic sensibilities are expressed, self-expression of art, etc., etc. Because everybody is an artist at their own level. Everybody is an artist. But a few artists are just exhibiting their self, their creative expression, etc., etc. That's what we have to have this as the curriculum, whatever the subject it may be. Our tendency is to give more importance to technical subject. There also there is a need to. And in the process, man's life is becoming more mechanical, artificial. So that will not help us as far as our personality development is concerned. Next one is humane feeling. Human values are something that we have to inculcate ourselves, we have to just propagate, we have to exhibit in our life and dealing with our fellow beings. How you are relating yourself with your fellow beings. So orientation and training on this aspect also is needed to develop that feeling, that humane feeling, human values. That's what we have to preserve as such. Social enthusiasm. Man is a social animal, and without enthusiasm we cannot pursue anything, we cannot complete anything, we cannot plan anything. That's why that ability also you have to inculcate among the new generation, especially youth, the social enthusiasm. I am a social being and I cannot live in isolation or in seclusion. I am part of the society, so whatever the society is endorsing or the norms, one has to follow the social norms, and at the same with enthusiasm. Then only we can achieve something in life. So youth is the stage where we have to do something, think something, do something and become something. Then only the society will stand with the strength, with strong roots. And for that, enculturation is one instrument, one area where we have to enculture ourselves. Acculturation is different. Whatever that is becoming outdated as far as our culture is concerned, we have to forego. But we have to inculcate certain new things, new cultural traits in our personality. That is called enculturation. That way, Dr. Lalita is well cultured, an artist also, and she will be just proving herself, and her students also have come to just perform as far as their concepts are concerned, cultural traits are concerned, and whatever that is there in this session. I think we will all enjoy this and interact later. Thank you.
Namaste to all. Happy to be here amongst you all young minds and ready to take over into the profession. With so many dreams in your minds to fly high. So I welcome you to this session, and I also welcome the group of my students and my colleague who are there with us today, and an enthusiastic group. And this session is going to be probably enjoyable to you all. So I would like to start. Sir, thank you very much for the kind introduction of mine. As artist, I am not a seasoned artist, but I am a passionate learner of music. I have done my small certification from Telugu University in Diploma in Carnatic Classical Music, Vocal. And I am fortunate enough to be in the academic field so that I can know more of the nuances of the arts, fine arts. So I don't promise you I am going to give you a perfect session, but definitely I am going to give you a learning, and all of us going to learn together in this session. I'd like to start the session with a small shloka. The shloka from Krishna Yajurveda, and way back in the ancient Vedic period. I will explain the meaning later. You will all know this. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This shloka is something very dear to the learning process in the ancient system of India. It says, there is no teacher and student of different levels. We are all learners on the same platform. And this learning is happening together. I am teacher probably because of my experience, that's all. But in the process of learning, I am also learning and you are also learning. And let us not have any kind of wrong intentions, like, let us not have any kind of hatred among ourselves. Let us not have any rivalry in learning. Learning should be a composite process, a comprehensive and enjoyable process. That is the meaning of this. At peace, we are going to learn. Okay? And today we have many things that are going to come forward to you. This is a kind of, presenting you with, it's a very vast area to actually, and most of you are all, every one of you know what is arts and what is that a human being is going to get from arts. So I have a very, not a very perfect presentation, but definitely going to give you a bit of information. And now I'm not going to talk too much on this presentation, but I'll be incorporating some of the performances too in between. Let So this is talking about the creative arts. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. They have come to my rescue. Yeah. So this slide talks about, the creative arts and what exactly the combination of the creative arts and its ancient treasure in India. So that's why I have said it is incredible India, and you all belong to different parts of this country, and you know better about the culture and heritage of your own area. So this session talks about the creative arts in its true sense and different kinds. And you can see this slide. You can see a picture of the expressions of a dancer. And of course, it says it is a universal communication. Art is nothing but a universal form of communication and creative expression. So my form of creative expression, probably I like the music most, so I am pursuing it because I cannot take many more things in this short life. There are multi-talented people who will also do so many things at a point of time, So it's a wonderful form of creative expression. We all know we human beings are associated with emotions. Yeah, and we are not much bothered in the education system on emotions. But the ancient heritage of the country talks about so many things, how to really cope up with these real human elements. That's why they talk about the creative expression, and of course it is a universal language. Fine arts is nothing but a universal language with many experiences and perception of the world around us in varied forms. The kind of complexity of the art systems that we can find in India. If I ask you to write at least 5 art forms, I think it will become an exhaustive list from your specific area of your rural or urban or whichever area, whichever state, whichever place you belong to. It has its own culture. It has its own kind of expression. It's nothing but the human expression taking varied forms. That is the kind of art. And it is a multi-sensory language that incorporates many historical and cultural references. So art is a amalgamation of expressions. And it talks about many, many things. And as Sir has rightly pointed out, the humanity, the humane form will come out through the arts. And this is the only area where you really enjoy. Whether there is any audience for you or not, whether there is anybody to clap to you or not. But if you are into an art form, it is going to really give you a satisfaction which touches your spirit and soul. That is the action of and the magic of the art. And every one of us are artists. I think there is no one who cannot sing, there is no one who cannot dance, because they all ultimately come from the human learning. We have created that, right? We have created to express our own form of emotions and different aspects associated with the human expressions. So that is what, and Indian art and culture are the wonderful part of the country, has given us so much in this area. As I told you, it's exhaustive. And it is quite spiritual in nature. The ultimate purpose of the art is, again, going back to spirituality, is nothing to do with, non-practicality. Spirituality is practicality. So it is leading us to a peaceful life, a harmonious life, because ultimately at the end of the fag end of anybody's journey of life, we are going to wait for the peace. And we cannot find it at the fag end. We have to find it throughout our journey. So art will facilitate this kind of learning process and being peaceful and leading a harmonious life. That's exactly the purpose of an art. And you can just see the mosaic of art and culture, the potpourri of Tradition, India is just not a land but the reservoir of beauty, dream, and is synonymous to exotic arts and handicraft traditions. This is of course a fact we all know. And why art is created? We have created that. Why did we create that? To again express us in different ways. Sir has told us about the culture and the aesthetic part of the culture. So that is the aesthetics simply for its visual appeal and pleasure that it brings to us. That's the aesthetic part. And coming to the moral and ethics, art is also created in order to depict people and behaviors that reflect the morality, the values, and the ethical component of the human living. Coming to the spirituality, it enables people to connect with the spiritual world, and history, of course. It provides valuable information about people, places, and events. It's a wonderful source of information to dig into the history and know the history. And artifacts become the sources of information, and sources valuable, secondary source of information and primary source of information for us. So history, and also for the politics. It is used as a tool of persuasion or propaganda. So these are the purposes of creation of an art form. And we all know, when an art is being created, emerged or evolved from a particular place, it has a socio-political and geographical aspects associated with it that you will be experiencing when you are looking into a dance form, the costume of a dance form, the kind of attire that is worn by a performer. They are all associated with its geography. When you look into a dance form like Manipuri, what attracts you most in Manipuri costume? What is it made of? Yeah, the bamboo. So the geographical significance of the costumes and that costume and the makeup. Kathakali, the name itself tells us that it is something to do with the makeup, the most exotic makeup that is done with the natural dyes. And every color has a significance in this dance form. So in every aspect, for example, coming to the music and the musical instruments, the creation and evolution and emergence of the musical instruments has the geographical significance. So the socio-cultural and geographical significance in the evolution of art is very, very important to understand. And it's a quite interesting study to look into these kinds of nuances of art in it and education. And of course, it is the appreciation that we need to get when you are doing any kind of art. And the session specially meant for you are all aware of the art forms, but we were trying to give you little more information and little more performance oriented issues related to art appreciation and understanding the creative activities of human beings. These are all the creative activities of human beings. And of course, where human beings have created all kinds of artificial walls, we are actually living in an artificial conditions now. If artificial intelligence is going to rule the world, maybe in next coming years, we have created these barriers, and art is a way of unifying and inspiring humans to more constructive goals. This is going to be the savior for all the intellectuals and people, the academic field especially. And we become more evolved as human beings when we learn about art from different eras, regions, beliefs, and social systems. Probably this is the reason UGC also is recommending the higher education institutions to understand the nuances of art and the utility part of the art in the regular and daily life. So that's what exactly the purpose of art education gives us. And I have also some history related to that. Before that, I would like to invite Bhavana from our group. She is a B.Ed third semester student who is going to perform before us. Please come on to the dais, Bhavana. Bhavana is a Kuchipudi dancer and not a seasoned artist, but definitely the technicalities of Kuchipudi she has really wonderfully performed, and we recently had a talent show in the department, and we could really get these talented few. There are many more, but I couldn't get them here. So Kuchipudi is a classical dance form of India, which has come out from the Andhra Pradesh, Krishna district. The name of the village is Kuchipudi, and this is a wonderful classical art form, and she is going to perform Brahmanjali. It's an item which, especially the invocation song, and it's a welcoming song, and she's going to welcome you with her art. Please, Bhavna. the total costume set has a spiritual significance, especially the Jada, which is in Kuchipudi style, it is called Satyabhama Jada. And actually the stage displays with the Jada itself. They come with a Jada, and it has 27 those ornaments that you are seeing, those are given on that. These 27 represent the 27 stars. And it represents the total attire, represents the cosmos. So it has wonderful significance and wonderful spiritual aspects associated with each aspect of the costume. And this is the traditional costume of Kuchipudi, and you have different other art forms also, dance forms specially. So thank you so much, Bhavana. She was eagerly waiting for this performance. Thank you. And I am sure now my lecture will be a boring one because she has taken us to a different trance and different level of creativity. That's what dance does. And we have different dance formats, because I would like to quickly get to the dance so that we can, within this context, we can complete that. Some more aspects which are related to dance. Yeah, I am going to give you some wonderful dance forms as you have experienced Kuchipudi. Apart from Kuchipudi, this is the most significant statue which represents the dance forms. This is the Nataraja, who is known to be the god of this fine arts. Mythologically, the myth says about all these stories. There are many stories in these mythologies which talks about the evolution of these arts in the divine space, and which are given to through a parampara. And you have seen the kind of item that is performed by her. She started with the Guru Brahma, and she went to all types of, paying the respects and tributes to all people who are around us. And lastly she performed the Shubhamu Shubhamu. This is a classical song. Shubhamu Shubhamu means everyone should be benefited and everyone should be at peace. So that is the significance of this particular dance form. And you can see this, the most important aspect of the dance. You have seen they are in Telugu, they are known as Muvalu, and you know in your own language what they call this. And these are the dances of India. We have only experienced a speck of the classical dance forms. Apart from the classical, we have another whole vast set of folk arts and folk dance forms. And of course, the emergence of these classical art forms, classical dances, have come from the tribal and the folk dances. Because it started evaluating from the human expressions in the primary and preliminary stages, from the human emotions, human expressions, and the technicalities have been added to make them into classical art forms. That's why the Janapada is a folk. It's a people's dances, and we have exhaustive number of dance forms in India, specific to each state. So these are some of the depictions of these art forms and dance forms specially. You can see this is the rasa concept in the dance, where you have seen the kind of abhinaya. This is another aspect of dance. The abhinaya that is done by this girl. It is, your total body speaks. The total body, including the eyebrows, they speak a lot, and they give us the explicit communication. This is the fragrance of dance. So this rasa theory talks about the different expressions. There are navarasas, the 9 emotions in the human, and these emotions play a major role in the dance. And the abhinaya part is going to give life to these expressions, and the communication actually happens through these expressions. So that's the aspect of this, and you can just go through these 9 human emotions, which are categorized into 9 subheadings, Navarasa. Then the Kuchipudi you have already experienced. This is a very famous couple of Radha Reddy and Raja Reddy. the Padma Award winners, and you can see the formations, the physical stability, which leads you to the mental stability. The sound mind in a sound body gets proved in dance, and dance is known to be the highest form of expression, because you are controlling every aspect of your human life with dance. And every aspect of this dance also gives us many, life related components. You know, how best you can utilize your life with this kind of stability, attaining the stability, the concentration. Probably this girl might have practiced more than 15 years. Then she is not a seasoned artist again. You might have seen the seasoned artist performances, not less than any seasoned performance. But the kind of concentration and the kind of struggle and the kind of hard work put behind it has a lot to say about this. It is a skill-based learning. You acquire them only by practice. That is the importance of, and how educating it is to us. And the other art forms also, you can see the Kathakali. Some of the pictures I have just compiled in this for you. You can see how balanced the human body can be. That's why yoga is also, dance form is also known as a kind of yoga. That is the kind of exotic experience dance gives to people. And another one where you can see Manipuri and the Yakshagana of Karnataka, also a theatre art form it is. Right? So this is something related with the dance and music. You have experienced the kind of what all the things that happen here is a combination of different arts. It has music, it has instruments, it has vocal, it has a footwork. Nonetheless, what is the difference between all these art forms, the dance forms, is the kind of activity, the kind of action and the kind of footwork that is done. If you look into the Kathak dance has a lot of saying on the footwork. It has much of footwork in Kathak than the hand and face movements. Right? So every art form has been evolved, and it has a kind of wonderful emotional and technical aspects related to it. And it's a scientific form of work. The kind of scientificity has been brought to these classical art forms. That is the importance of the dances. And you have seen the hand gestures. The hands speak so much. They are known as mudras. With one hand you can see how many types of mudras can be made. And this is called the secret language of hands. And Bharatanatyam is another South Indian classical dance form. There are very technical differences. As generally if we look into the Bharatanatyam and Kuchipudi, you get confused. But as I told you, the Kuchipudi has a significance with the costume and the kind of footwork and the abhinaya that is associated with. But more or like, they look alike. Bharatanatyam has much to do with the mudras. And these are the mudras, and how every day we use them. You use your hand so much. Each one has a meaning. So we use this body language a lot. And for everyone it is essential. They have technicalized in the dance forms, and they have tried to inform individuals about these art forms, how an art form is associated with your everyday life and everyday living. Then I also tried to give some folk art forms in this platform, some more where you can identify them and see from different corners of the world, the Rajasthan, and see the richness in the costumes. If you see the richness in the costumes, in the work, again it is, you cannot separate Rajasthani dance form from crafts. Crafts and dance forms are associated with each other. The costume, what you have seen, is again a kind of craft. The doing of this Gungru making itself is a craft. It's not easy, to do it easily. So, craft is again associated with each aspect. Music is associated with. The theatre form is associated with. Because when you are performing a particular dance form, that's why dance is called as the highest expression, because music, craft, art, every aspect of fine arts is getting amalgamated with this particular art form. Right, so this is what we were trying to, because it's a celebration of life. We have seen the celebration just now, and it's a joy in the ability to use the movements to create beautiful rhythm designs. It is an eloquent expression of the emotions that we discover as we experience more and more in life. Exploration of the self in terms of movement control and inner feeling leads to greater self-confidence. See how it builds the human personality. If you are getting into a hobby of an art, it is going to slowly increase your confidence levels. It's not easy to perform in a big dais like this. So your life skills are being improved, increased. Your potentialities are being recognized by yourself. You are going to self-invent. Art gives that kind of opportunity. It facilitates the human personality, exaltation of the personality. So, movement, rhythm, design and expression are the basic elements of dance. That's what I wanted to just give you in some more art forms. That down one is Mohiniyattam from Kerala. It's another beautiful, exotic costumes and the floral costumes that are associated with Mohiniyattam, and the seasonal aspects that are associated with the dance forms. Onam, the festivals, the kind of festivals that are, again see how much culture is associated with the fine arts. So you have, it's a kind of integrated curriculum. All these years we were trying to just neglect, putting it in the co-curricular or extracurricular activities. But really speaking, that is the curriculum what we need. So the policy started realizing it and started incorporating. Probably this is one initiative from UGC to higher education institutions where we were really, what should I say, we were feeling bad to understand, the kind of dying art forms in India. Recently when we have conducted the project with the students, we asked them to write down one of the dying art from them, from their own geographical area and place. And we could get not less than 60 which are dying, and there are only few people who are associated with these arts and crafts. That craft form is going to die. So the next session we are going to have some visual art demonstrations to you from our students, because we have the major category of the arts are bifurcated into two areas, visual arts and the performance arts. The dance is part of performance art, and visual arts are something which are tangible. Crafts are also associated with these visual art forms. And now I request Akhila, Sana and Divya to demonstrate the art forms which they have done by themselves. Come.
Good afternoon, friends. As we know, different type of art forms and the meaning of arts. But today we are here, myself and my friends named Sana and Divya are here to show few different types of visual arts. Okay. We need hand.
I have painted worldly art on
this working art is used to show different traditions, customs, or a particular place of different people. We are informed that there are few BEd students in this hall. The main task of this BEd student is that how we can inculcate these art forms into our teaching field. Suppose if you are for mathematics methodology, you can explain through only or different type of charts, triangles. If you are from social methodology, you can show different type of traditions, customs of our people. Now, Sana will continue the next visual art form. Good afternoon, everyone. So, we have your art form, visual art form. This is a abstract painting. What you can see. Actually colors, oil paint colors. See, this is a face. Actually, Krishna, Leela, Kala, so we have shown that face over here, and we can use many colors, not only few colors for explaining it. This is abstract painting. You can use watercolors also for painting. Next form is stroke. You can use brush, stroke brush, and you can just draw. In any form, you can use flowers. You can draw flowers, leaves, and all. Next is oil painting. How it is done? First, you have to scribble this. After scribbling, take a tissue paper and just wipe it so that it becomes soft. Take a sharp pencil and you can draw whatever you want to draw. Easy, and you can do such paintings in a very quick time. Next is thumb and finger print. You see all this. Very easy. Next is vegetable painting. Yes. You should cut the vegetable and you pick the color and you stamp it, like stamp painting like that. Not only okra, you can use eggplant, capsicum, and cauliflower, spinach, this kind of fruits to paint. It is thread painting.
Hello.
You can take the mic. Use the mic. Actually, I use the mic.
Suddenly, all of us had this opportunity to, investigate our inner artist, and we were amazed to see all types of talent in our college. And this is something which I have done. I'm also into stroke painting and other type of painting. Like, I'm still a beginner, so I don't have anything to show. But this is something which I'm very, happy about. Thank you.
Good morning to all.
One of you can hold that.
Does anyone know about this art form? Anyone? Yeah, this is Madhubani art, which has originated in Bihar, and it is also called Mithila painting because it has originated in the Mithila region of Bihar. Do you find any space in between? No. That is the speciality of this art form. And you can find bordered lines. We usually paint with matchsticks. I have painted this using matchsticks. This is going to extinct, so we are here to conserve it. Thank you.
Hasn't hold.
This is collage art. We are very familiar with the word collage because we mostly do collage of our photos and put it as WhatsApp and Insta DPs, right? Similarly, we can do collage with using newspaper cuttings, foldings, color papers, and mixing all these items, we can make a new art, new paintings or new drawings. This type of collage art can be useful to improve our creativity and imaginations. Thank you.
Thank you, girls. One more item?
One more.
Okay. Yeah. What thing? Lift them up.
Acrylic colors. Mostly children like to play with clay. So they can make different types of shapes and they can use it, they can color it. They want to inculcate in the education as like they want to make fruits, vegetables. They can also make and they can also add their
Can anyone tell the theme of this painting? What is she doing? So main theme of this painting is to encourage art form in children. Generally parents say no to art forms. They usually say go and read. They only say read curriculum books. To bring awareness among us, so I have done that painting.
Thank you. They have they're amateurs and they're learning it, but definitely they're going to make it happen in the schools. They're all equipped for their internship. Thank you, girls. Right, we'll quickly shift to another major art form. Major art form, that is music. I left it before dance. Yeah, music is another wonderful medium of expression in humans. I can easily say all of you can sing. And you sang and you are singing. Yes? Is there anyone who can say, I cannot sing? It's a part of your, and Indian tradition has so much to do with singing. It is a celebration of life. From the birth to death we sing. Isn't it? So, Indian music specially, we have again the folk music forms and the classical forms. You all are very well aware of the two major branches of Indian classical music. Yes? The two major classical forms are Hindustani classical and Carnatic classical. So most of you must be thinking Carnatic is from Karnataka. Actually it is not. It is, the word Carnatic means something which is good to hear. Karna in Sanskrit means ear. And that's something which is melodious is music. And Indian music has a very scientific system of technicalities associated with it. And that's why if you see, you must be seeing so many programs of talent hunt, especially in singing. Every channel has a singing show. And all the teachers or the mentors or the jury talk about this, the people who are learning music, or there is also a kind of people who learn by listening. Most of us are that. This is called in Sanskrit Shruta Panditya. This represents the musical aptitude of the human. By listening you can immediately sing the same kind of song and the same kind of tune, and everything you can easily catch and grasp and re-sing again. This is called Shruta Panditya. So the people who mostly come from this kind of, who have not learned, the mentors will be asking them to go for learning classical music. Why do you think so? Why there is a need for us to, or the upcoming artists to know classical music? How do you get perfect with classical? Because if the kind of scientificity associated with this technical singing, so both the art forms, both the music forms of Hindustani and Carnatic have a vast science behind them. And interestingly, the teachers can use music to teach maths. The teachers can use music to teach physics. The basic components of music are, there are, I think, good singers here. The swaras, okay? The swara, that is the different notes that you sing. What are the notes? Everyone know it. The 7 swara saptaka, the 7 swaras, sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni. And they become 8 because of the higher note of sa joining into the octave. That's why we say sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni, sa. And there is a notation, there is a language for music. These classical music forms give us this kind of technicalities of singing. So learning classical music gives you a lot of technicalities of the singing, and it makes you perfect, as you rightly said, because of the nuances and the kind of learnings you can take from these classical forms. And Hindustani and Carnatic classical both are different from one another in very few aspects. But at the majorly they are all having the similarities of the same notes. But the kind of singing style that is associated with each art form, each music form, differs in its technicality. Because you will find in Hindustani, there are no gamakas in Hindustani. Carnatic classical is associated with the gamakas, which means the vibration of a particular note from the same place. What are the swaras which are not moved? Good. Sa and pa they are known as achala swaras. That means they don't move from anywhere. That's why whenever the Carnatic classical singer starts the singing, they start sa pa sa. The lower octave, the middle one, and so you are in the octave, and you always take the help of the Shruti. So when you are sing, I can say and sing this in sa, pa, sa. I can take pa, sa once again. Pa, sa, pa, sa, pa, sa. So these are the different octaves, and this kind of technicalities and the voice culture, voice modulation comes with learning classical music. That is why the mentors always give this kind of inputs to the learners to learn the nuances, and these three are the legends of Carnatic classical music. I think someone of you can tell their names. Not, yeah. Very nice, sir. Shyama Shastri. These three are called Trinity of Carnatic classical music, because they have given the form, whatever it is there in the Carnatic classical today. The traditionality that is associated with Carnatic classical is because of these three major legends of this music system, and these are known as Vaggayakaras. Who is a Vaggayakara? The person who sings, writes the lyrics and composes and performs is, and there is no, I don't think an equivalent word in English for this. I am sorry, at least I do not know. If you have any knowledge of what do Vaggayakara is called in English, please you can help me out. So these are the legends of Carnatic classical music, and even today contemporary, the music is, the tradition is being followed and done because of its richness and the vastness and the approach of this music. And of course you have very rules and regulations to perform this art form. In the same as in Hindustani, and also in Hindustani is in North India, and South India is associated with Carnatic classic, and now we are breaking these barriers of North and South. We are into a new contemporary music systems. We are also bringing a lot of fusion into our music. If you are present Bollywood songs, a wonderful fusion you will find. Shankar Mahadevan. There are legends like Rahman. Rahman is an artist who really brings he brings West and the East onto the same equilateral places. So that is a kind of contemporary art. We are not touching the contemporary art because it's going to be very vast. I am trying to limit myself to the traditional art forms. And how many of you in this group have learnt any classical music form? There are 1, 2, 3 hands. What is the number of this group? Just approximately 200, 150, 100. So see the kind, because I am trying to give you the why, how much are we going to lose this intellectual property of India? I think if I am doing the same thing in a foreign university, more hands would have been raised. Isn't it? See, this is what we are missing and losing in the culture. That needs to be, we have to stop that. We have to understand our own roots and find out the kind of rich culture we have, and we have to protect them and preserve them and pass on to the next generations. That's what is the reason for this induction, especially on arts. So these are the legends, and we have wonderful music system. Even today it is living because of the major 2 southern states, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. In Kerala and Tamil Nadu, if there is a concert, even in a remotest area of a hamlet, even a pan shop gets closed by the time of the concert begins. They go and sit with the concert. What is a concert? Carnatic classical gets performed with a particular format. That is known as kacheri. And kacheri gets performed in a particular fashion. You cannot stand and do the kacheri. You have to sit like that and you are associated with certain specific musical instruments like mridangam, veena, majorly violin, tabla with Hindustani, mridangam, ghatam, but majorly the violin, the ghatam, mridangam. That means it is association of tala, melody, and this is something on Hindustani vocal tradition and how a concert, it has the same kind of similarities with Carnatic classical too. You are seeing the great performers there on tabla, and these are the traditional elements of classical music: melody, tone, and rhythm. And the melody is coming with raga. If you are happy, you would like to sing a happy raga. If you are sad, you would like to sing something which is, it gives sadness, it automatically, if there is an instrument with you, you play it in a very sad mode. So this mood creation is because of the raga system. A very strong enriched system of Carnatic and Hindustani classical is raga. And the number of ragas existing in these systems, approximately how many ragas might be there? Guess, wild guess. No guess too? 72 total number of ragas. Partly she is right. I am saying partly. Actually, there is no count for the ragas. You yourself can create a raga. Who are the people who created ragas, new ragas in Carnatic classical and Hindustani classical? The great legends like Balamurali Krishna, BMK, famously Mangalampalli Balamurali Krishna gar, and Bhimsen Joshi from Hindustani classical. These people have creation of ragas is something, that's why I said mathematics and music are very closely related. Raga is nothing but the combination and permutation of your 7 notes. Right? So 7 into, you have 7 being transformed into, again it's physics, from note to note there are variations. In between the note you have the different frequencies. So you can teach wonderful physics with mathematics. So ragas are innumerable. That's why they are not called Ananta. Ananta is something which is infinite. Because of the combinations, the probability theory, how many probabilities you can get? That exactly fits with music. And raga is the most technical part of Indian classical music. And I said it is quite vast. And time will not permit us to get into the 72 are the major ragas. They are known as Melakarta ragas. Briefly telling you about Melakarta raga or a Janaka raga, a Matru raga, which talks about, it contains all sa to ni, all 7 swaras will be there in that raga. There are also some ragas which do not have certain notes, like Mohana. Mohana, Varavina Mrudupani Vanaruhalochenurani Suruchira Bambharaveni Suranuda Kalyani. This is something with, and it's a famous now, Telugu people must be knowing. Ninnu Kori Varnam Varnam Sari Sari Kallisene Nayanam. This is also. So see, it is a Vajraga which do not have, it says Sagapa Dasa, that's all. So 72 are the ragas which are the Matruka ragas or major ragas. And from each raga, with the combinations and permutations, you can go with any number of ragas. That's why ragas has no limit. You can become a creator of a raga. And instruments, another major area, but I would like to just quickly go with the instruments. The major classification of instruments are with string, wind and percussion instruments. And you have seen how many instruments are used in the dance performance? You have heard it, the musical background. It definitely uses a percussion instrument. Percussion represents the tala. And tala itself is again a big theory. The kind of talas and the kind of, the rhythm that is associated with that has a big story about it. And wind instruments are the flute, the clarinet, shehnai, sanai, all these are wind instruments. And string instruments, veena, violin, guitar. Yes, and you know one fact of veena. Veena is a very ancient instrument, which the sound of veena could not be captured by the electrical instruments. On Casio, a performance Casio, you will get all kinds of instruments, including the violin and guitar. But veena's sound could not be captured by this electrical instrumentation. That's the fact of veena. And one more very essential one is tambura or tanpura, which is a compulsory instrument for performing the concert, because it gives the shruti, the octave in which you have to sing. You cannot jump into the octave. That is the difference between the Western music and the Indian music. Western music, easily they shift the pitch. But here you have to be in a single pitch and sing. Who is this? Subbulakshmi. Also a veena player, very famously. Now the beginning of the day, if you are near a masjid, near a mosque or near a temple or near a church, what will you hear? It's a music. Aza in masjid, temple bells and Suprabhatam. MS famous for Kausalya Supraja Rama Purva Sandhya Pravartate. This evening, I am not supposed to sing it in the evening. You have morning ragas and evening ragas too. There is timing to sing a particular raga. And now the latest invention in music is the therapy. There are people who are going to prescribe you certain ragas for your ailments too. Music has, yes, music has a power of healing also. And Pandit Ravi Shankar at the young age. And MS, you know, you can relate MS with the famous Helen Keller. And see the combination. Helen Keller is a person who cannot hear and talk. But she has sensed MS' voice. Running her hands over her singing throat, the blind and deaf Helen Keller exclaimed, "You sing like an angel." See, it has reached the unreached. That's the magic of music. And we have heard her and still hearing her. And I will take a small break again, and I would like to request my next group of students with some more visual art forms, Sneha, Sunaina, Sneha, and Indumati. Sir, I have few more minutes to wind up, sir. How much time I have? Okay. Quickly, girls. There with some craft work. Indian craft also has a wonderful tradition, and here Sunaina is going to present her calligraphy and some paintings too. Someone can help her in holding the
Good afternoon, Good afternoon, one and all. I'm Sunaina from University College of Education, Usmania University, and today I'm going to display my pencil sketching and calligraphy. I am an amateur student, but calligraphy is something that was taught to me by my mother when I was in my second grade. I had a very crappy handwriting, to be frank. Then it was my mother who taught me in one night. Calligraphy is not something that can be, it needs a lot of proficiency, it needs a lot of concentration, and it needs a lot of patience. First thing is it needs is patience. So I can pass on this to you all. I have written with the calligraphy pen. I can show you the calligraphy set I have. So this is my calligraphy set. This is Parker set. These have different nibs. There are different sizes of the nibs. So there are like almost more than 24 sets, but I use the basic set, which has 3 types of nibs. So one is for the broader length, and the other one is for the shorter, and the other one is for medium. So you can see this pen. Be careful, the ink can drip. This is the pen, and these are the different nibs. You can use it, for the beginning letter, for the capital letters, you can use different format, and for the other one, you can use different nib. So, okay, and the second one is the pencil sketching. I have learned how to, I haven't learned proficiently, but pencil sketching is something I do. It is one of the most best art forms that can calm your mind down. Sketching is something that calms your emotions. Whenever different levels of sketching can show different heights of your emotion. When I sketch something, when I am sad, I sketch. This is the emotion. This I drew when I was sad. I was alone. I was sad. So I was sketching this thing where a girl is standing alone at the seashore, experiencing the waves. She is trying to look at the waves, trying to let go of her emotions. Then I was angry. When I was angry, I want to just let go of the level of emotions I'm having. I just want to let go of everything, so I sketched this waterfall. And this I had to draw in a competition. I didn't have any other thing to draw, so I had to sketch this. And then this girl is some stranger I met at in a train while I was traveling from my hometown to Hyderabad. She recently got engaged, and so she was like, I was just packing my luggage, and she saw my sketch pad, and she just went through the sketch pad, and she asked me to sketch her face. So this is her. This I did like a month ago, I guess. I don't remember, but this was me. I'm trying to sketch myself. So it was a very bad self-portrait, but still, I just tried to sketch myself. But then, Indu, I would like to pass on this to Indu.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Indumati, and my friend Sneha. We both are going to just give a demo or live performance. Like we are trainee teachers, we want our children to use the waste things, whatever that goes in the dustbin or something like that, to reuse it or to make it creative, something creative out of waste.
Trying to make something best out of the waste.
Kanda. This is made out of woolen. And can you guess what is this? No, no. I actually just few days before my son was staying because of the incident. So I broke this and I took this out and make it out a frame. Okay, and these beads you can get it at any store. And this is the nest, I think. You can see it as nest. This is made out of jute rope. Can you guess what is this? Yeah.
How to make a bird? I mean, do we have time? No, we don't have time.
Okay, thank you, girls. And because of shortage of time, we are going to conclude this session. We have started with a dance and going to end it with a dance. Sunaina is going to perform this for all of us. Thank you so much, Sunaina. And here I would like to conclude the session and hope we have made some sense to you and brought some awareness onto that. We have also a lot of information you can gather from different websites. CCERT, there are different agencies which work on festivals of art and drama. We have not touched the theatre yet, but still thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, and thanks especially Professor Jangay sir and Professor Sudhakar sir, who is my teacher. Thank you very much, sir, and thank you all. I'll just take mine. Please come. Yeah, pen drive.
On behalf of EFL University, I would like to thank Dr. J. Lalita and her students. And we say that, and we see it's a born artist and trained artist. We have seen both. And in fact, art is divine and eternal also. And blessed are the artists. These are all best people, best one. Blessed and best artists also that way. And we are lucky enough to have this session. And here we conclude this one, and this is part A. Part B is awaited. Sir has come and he will also perform, and we just welcome him and enjoy that also. There is one announcement at the end of the session, and the people, those who have not registered for their local trip, this thing, you can register with that. Please come after the session. Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. If you have seen the arts and crafts material, please pass it on, no?
Should be there. It should be there in the front. Okay, there's a oops. Ah. No volume. Who's in charge?
Sound.
This will get them to be
He's
quiet.
gone to get someone, yeah, he's gone to get someone. No. No. Saul stood.
So I'll have to stand here and talk.
Beautiful, beautiful dream come true.
Good afternoon again. I'm going to be very honest and quite short introducing Professor Upendran. Last night I did call up Professor Upendran and asked him to give me a short bio, something that I could read out here while introducing him. And he said, Kshema, don't worry, just give them a no responsibility disclaimer. So here is my disclaimer. Yes. So here is my disclaimer. I'm not responsible for what Professor Upendran is going to speak to you. I'm not responsible for what it is going to do to you. All right. So now jokes apart, there is nothing that I can tell you that you are not going to be able to find on Google. If you take 2 seconds and type in Professor Upendran on Google search bar, you're going to find everything that you want to know about Professor Upendran. Please don't do it now, because that you can do that later. But the best thing is that if you actually type in Upendran on the Google search bar, the prompt that you will get is Know Your English. Okay? So it is Professor Upendran, Know Your English. He's been writing. Yeah. He's been writing this column called Know Your English in the Hindu for decades now, with no implication on his age. Yeah, he's been writing for decades. But I would actually like to share with you some things that you will not find on Google. Professor Upendran's classes are legendary. They are a mix of irreverence, humor, and a lot of wisdom and knowledge thrown in. Luckily, I never had to attend one. So, but Professor Upendran is someone I started admiring without having to be a student. So I think that's the first thing I would like to tell you about him. The second thing I would like to tell you is that his room is always brimming with music. There is songs playing through the door, through the window. If you go to talk to him, there is song in the background. If he is holding a meeting, there is song in the background. If he is taking classes, there is song in the background. So he is actually a music person. And the third and the most important thing, and the last thing I'm going to tell you, is about his impeccable English. Words, voice, pronunciation, there is nothing that goes wrong when Professor Upendran speaks in English. So, and yes. The other arm perhaps. And recently I had the opportunity to learn the secret behind this. Yes, he is blessed with a great voice. You will see that very soon. You will hear that very soon. And that's of course half the job done. But what I witnessed and learned is that there's a lot of hard work, practice, dedication, and use of multiple dictionaries involved to achieve those results. Even after decades of experience, he never ceases to amaze you with his humility and respect towards knowledge. So today he's going to give you a 1 hour long talk, which is a blend of all these things that he holds close to his heart, yes, and all that he is known for. So I'm sure you're going to enjoy the talk. Professor Upendran.
Right, thank you, Shema. Can you hear me? Yes. Actually, I wanted Shema to keep the introduction as short as I am, but unfortunately she didn't. So she has cut into the half an hour? No. Okay. Whatever time there was. Well, first of all, I'd like to begin by saying how happy I am to be here. And when you hear colleagues praising you, what does it mean? It means you're about to retire, okay? And that is the case here. So I've been asked to talk to you about music and English. I'm often asked, what is the best way to learn English? And my standard reply is, there is no best way. Whatever works for you, that is the best way. Therefore, you could be one of those who loves to write, learn through writing, one of those who loves to read, so learning English through reading. But as far as I'm concerned, in this talk, what I'm going to focus on is tell you a fun way to pick up language. I'm not saying learning, but picking up English. And in my opinion, songs are a great way to pick up English. Now, you may say, why songs? And my reply would be, why not? Because whether you like it or not, we all listen to songs. It may not be English songs, but we all listen to songs. It could be in our mother tongue, it could be in a foreign language, and the good thing is, we all enjoy listening to songs. And there are lots of things that you learn from songs. Now take for example, if I were to say to you, Roop Tera, what would you say? Why? Why are you saying Mastana? Because it's what lyrics? I just said Roop Tera. I didn't say, do you know this song Roop Tera Mastana? No, I just said Roop Tera and immediately you said Mastana. Why does that happen? Da 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 da. Why does it happen? Because how do you learn songs? Do you learn Roop Tera Mastana? So Roop Tera Mastana, or do you say Roop Tera Mastana? You learn songs in chunks, okay? You don't learn them word by word. You learn songs in chunks. And that's how language learning is supposed to take place. But unfortunately in the classroom, we're taught isolated words. So if you want to pick up language and use them, the best way to learn is through songs, because we remember the songs. So if I say Roop Tera Mastana, what's the next line? Next line? You'll never forget them. Even, when you're doing something and you hear a song, well, in your case, I can't say 50 years old, but if you hear a song, 10 or 15 years old, you still remember the words. Why is that? And go back to how you started to learn English. What was the first thing you were taught? Nursery rhymes, right? Nursery rhymes. And what were some of the rhymes that you learnt? There was something called Jack and Jill, right? So, what's the first line? Jack fell down, broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after, right? Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch it. When was the last time you said it? Recently? No. I'm not asking your age, but when was the last time you heard it? You don't remember, but you remember the words of the rhyme, don't you? All of us remember rhymes. I learnt it nearly 60 years ago, and I still remember it. So much so that if I were to wake you up in the middle of the night and say, Jack and Jill, what would you say? Went up the hill, and you will say, now let me go to sleep. Right? That's what you will say. But we remember the words. And as soon as we learnt the rhyme, what did we do? We went home. And what did you do at home? And you asked your parents to stand and listen to you recite the rhyme. And what did your parents do? Okay, very good. And if an unfortunate guest came home, what happened? They plonked you in front of the guest and they asked you to recite the rhymes. And the poor chap listened to you reciting, and then he also clapped, and you felt good because you felt that you were learning English. But the question is, were you? Were you learning English? You thought you were learning English. For example, if the guest said, tell me, why did Jack and Jill climb up the hill? I mean, water comes down. So why were these kids climbing the hill? So what would your answer have been? There's no answer because you never questioned what the teacher said. As far as you were concerned, you were learning English. You weren't worried about the meaning. So, for example, the other well-known nursery rhyme that everyone learns in school is Ring-a, 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 ring-a roses. Right. Ring-a, ring-a roses, pocket full of posies, asha, busha, we all fall down. Now, how many of you, now that you are 18 plus, have actually opened the dictionary and looked for this word hasha busha? Anyone? Do you find it? We all sang it, we held hands, went around in a circle, and we said hasha busha, we all fall down. Now what is this asha busha? Well, that is an Indianism actually, because the actual word is a tissue, not a tissue, but the sneeze, a tissue, and we all fall down. Why did we fall down? Did we ever ask the teacher, teacher, why am I falling down? But we fell down, and after falling down, what happened? We laughed. How often do we laugh after falling down? Not very often. But in the case of this rhyme, you fall down and you're laughing. Now, why does the rhyme require us to fall down? What? Louder. It's about the plague. All right? Ring a roses, pocket full of posies, asha, busha, we all fall down. So ring a roses has got nothing to do with the rose. See, when you caught the plague, your skin had boils on it. So since this was happening in Europe, the skin became very, very pink. So it looked like a pink rose. Pocket full of posies. They carried flower petals in their pockets. Why? Because everyone was dying, the stench of death was everywhere, so they needed something that smelled good. So if you think about the meaning of this rhyme, it's a terrible rhyme to teach kids. But we weren't worried about the meaning. We were worried about what I would call picking up language. And this is exactly what we did. So much so, years later, you still remember the rhymes. This is what we call unconscious learning of language. And this is what songs can do. They can help you learn language unconsciously. Right. And the good thing about song is you don't mind listening to the same song over and over again. Think about your first prose lesson. I asked you what were the first things you learnt. You said nursery rhymes. Think about your first prose lesson. Do you remember what it was? Even if you remember the title, do you remember the words? Why? Why don't you remember the lines from your prose text? Because it was boring. It had no rhyme, it had no rhythm, it had no sense. Therefore, songs help you remember whatever it is that you've learnt. And my contention is songs are a great way to learn English. How many of you listen to English songs? How many of you don't listen to English songs? A few, right. Whenever I introduce songs, especially English songs, into the classroom, I'm always met with this objection, namely, I don't listen to English songs. Therefore, I don't want you playing them. But it's not true, is it? We all, whether we listen to English songs or not, we have all listened to some form of such songs. I'm going to play you a few.
महबूबा महबूबा गुलशन में गुल खिलते हैं जब सहरा में मिलते हैं गुलशन में गुल खिलते हैं जब सहरा में मिलते हैं मैं और तू you're telling me I never heard you say. I never heard you say. Oh, the tender words I'm living for that you may say today. That you may say today. कौन है जो सपनों में आया? कौन है जो दिल में समाया? लो झुक गया आसमां भी इश्क मेरा रंग लाया ओ प्रिया Who makes my heart beat like thunder Who makes my temperature rise Who makes me tremble with wonderful rapture with one burning glance from her eye Margarita
Right, and I can go on and on and on about how many Hindi songs have actually been copied from English songs. So, although we may think that we have not listened to English songs, we have in a roundabout way. Right. Where is that coming from? All right, okay. Okay, so in what way are songs different? Well, first of all, they have music, which makes them pretty catchy. But what is important about songs is that they make use of the spoken language. All right, not the written language. Most of the songs make use of the spoken language. And it is this, what I would call this simplicity of the language in songs, that I'm going to focus on today. Because very often students come to me and say, I want to improve my English and I want to improve my vocabulary. So I ask them, why do you want to improve your vocabulary? And their answer is, when I speak to someone in English, I would like to impress them with big words. So I want people to be impressed with my vocabulary. So I usually ask them, do you use big words when you speak in your mother tongue? They say, no. I don't have to use it when I'm speaking my mother tongue, but when I use English, it becomes important for me to impress people. So I want to use big words. So I say, okay, do you want to use sentences like this? For example, it is raining outside. There is no sartorial resplendency today because of the pluvial plenitude. So he will look at me and say, yes, that's exactly how I want to speak. Then I say, okay, so what did I just say? And he would say, I don't know, but it sounded good. But we don't communicate just to impress people, do we? We need to speak a language that the other person understands. Therefore, it becomes important for you not to try and impress people, but to communicate with people. And in order to communicate with people, what you need is the spoken language. At least when you're speaking to people, you need to use the spoken language. And what songs give you is exactly that. The spoken language, the spoken idiom as it is used now. All right? Now, take for example, this is what I'm talking about when I said, no, I'll give you another example. Take for example something as simple as Jack and Jill went up the hill. Okay? Now, if you asked a lawyer or a liar to take those two sentences and say, okay, write about these two sentences and give me the legalese. And this is what the lawyer will say. There it comes. It sounds great, but is this how you would want somebody speaking to you? Here we go. The party of the first part, hereinafter known as Jack, and the party of the second part, hereinafter known as Jill, ascended or caused to be ascended an elevation of undetermined height and degrees of slope, hereinafter called hill, okay, whose purpose it was to obtain, procure, secure, or otherwise gain acquisition to, hereinafter known as pale, suitable for the transport of liquid, whose chemical properties shall be limited to hydrogen and oxygen, the proportions of which shall not be less than or exceed 2 parts of the first mentioned element and 1 part of the latter. Such combination will hereinafter be called water. Okay? Now, if someone, well, we know that legal language basically sucks and it doesn't really make sense. If someone were to talk to you like this, how would you react? You wouldn't be too happy with the person talking to you, and you would be pretty upset because nothing that he says makes sense. And when you talk, attempt to make sense. That is the most important thing. You may not have great things to say, but as long as you sound, what is the word I want? As long as you sound, well, teachers are not usually associated with sensible, but as long as you sound okay, that's great. So, what I advise, yes, since I'm about to retire, I can say advice is use language that makes sense. Don't try to impress people with big words, all right? Here is another example. Now, this is an example about a farmer who suddenly discovers that he can use hydrochloric acid whenever the sink gets clogged. So he pours hydrochloric acid into the sink and boom, the drain is clear. So he writes to the company saying that, hydrochloric acid can be used for this. And this is what he writes. He writes saying, this is what I did and these were the results. So the hydrochloric acid, the company that makes hydrochloric acid, writes back to him and says, this is the letter. The efficacy of hydrochloric acid is indisputable, but the corrosive residue is incompatible with metallic permanence. Now, the farmer is not highly educated, so he writes back to them, I am happy that you agree with me. Right? So the company writes back to him again, we cannot assume responsibility for the production of toxic and noxious residues with hydrochloric acid and suggest that you use an alternative procedure. The farmer writes back, thank you for your letter. I am glad you agree with me. So the company gets the message and they respond with a 2-line letter. Don't use hydrochloric acid. It eats the hell out of pipes. Okay? Simple, straightforward, and this is the kind of message that such people need to be given. So what we see, one of the things that I've talked about is how songs make use of language that is spoken by people. Now, take a look at this. Okay. Get a life, get a grip. Get away somewhere, take a trip. Take advice from someone you know. Come on over, come on in, pull up a seat. So what you see are everyday expressions. Get a life. What does it mean? What does it mean? Get a life. Do something that is interesting. Don't sit in this room listening to some old person talking to you about the use of songs. Get a life. Do something with yourself. Get a grip. Grip on what? Your life. Get away somewhere, take a trip, take a break. I'm sure you're all dying to take a break. Take control. Take control of what? Your life again. take advice from someone you know. And take it from me, never take advice from someone you know. Come on over, come on in. Come on in. What's the difference between come in and come on in? Come in, come on in. What's the difference? What's the difference? Yes, everyone. Informal and formal. Right? So, if you were to walk into my room, which would you prefer? Come on in or come in? Come in. Come on in. You're not sure. Try to figure it out. Which is better? Come on in. How many of you say come in is better? Raise your hand. How many of you say come on in is better? How many of you don't give a damn? But there is a difference between the two. So what is the difference? Why does this person say, come on in? Come on in suggests that you are happy to see the person and you want the person to come in. So if I don't know you and you say, can I see you? I'll say, yeah, come in. But if I know you and say, can I come in? Say, yeah, come on in. So I'm happy. So this is the kind of stuff that you will learn by listening to songs. Look at the other line. Pull up a seat. How often do we say, pull up a seat? Okay, what does it mean? Okay, grab a seat. Take a load off your feet. What does it mean? Sit down. Take a load off your feet. Sit down. Come on over. Come on in. You can unwind. Why? You're pretty tight. So you can unwind. You can relax. Take a load off your mind. What does it mean? You're worried about something. Forget about all your problems. Now that you're here, you will forget everything. Very simple language. And if you see it on paper, it doesn't look great. But if you listen to it along with the music, it makes a difference.
Take a trip, take a break, take control, take advice from someone you know. Oh, come on over, come on in, pull up a seat and take a load off your feet. Come on over, come on in, you can unwind and take a load off your mind. Make a wish, make a move, make up your take a trip, take a break, take control, take advice from someone you know. Oh, come on over, come on in, pull up a seat and take a load off your feet. Come on over, come on in, you can unwind and take a load off your mind. Make a wish, make a...
All right, this is what I want you to do. Sing along with the person. Ah, no, sing.
Shake away somewhere, take a trip, take a break, take control, take advice from someone you know. Oh, come on over, come on in, pull up the seat and take a load off your feet. Come on over, come on in, you can unwind and take a load off your mind. Make a wish, make a...
This time we'll try and sing it without Shania Twain. Oh. Come on. All right. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Get a life. Brilliant. All right. You're all wasting your brain here. Okay? Right. So, I think I'll conclude by saying that listen to songs. When I say listen, I don't mean, pay particular attention to the song and everything, because very often we pick up words from songs without even paying attention. So listen to songs, use the kind of language which people will understand, because songs will help you to help you, will help you to help you. Songs will help you to pick up language that you need to use when you are speaking, because most of you are exposed to the English that you see in textbooks. What you need is a different kind of English when you speak. All right? So I know you're not going to get a life right now, but I do hope you get yourself a cup of tea. On that happy note, thank you very much.
I'm going to stick to my brief now. Thank you, Professor Upendran. Thank you so much. Go get a life.